Welcome to another conversation in People in Fundraising. This podcast features interviews with nonprofit professionals who discuss their career journeys, lessons learned, and enthusiasm for working in fundraising. And here is your host, the founder of People in Fundraising, Tim Wilson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Wilson. I am the founder and host of the People in Fundraising Professional Conversations webcast. And it's really my honor and pleasure. It's a joy to see James Cheng join us tonight from Boston, Massachusetts. James is currently the Senior Director of Prospect Information Strategies at Boston University. And James and I served for a few years together on the New England Development Research Association, NEDRA's board. And I worked in Boston at the time, and I was certainly aware of the professional and the personal reputation that people had, the strong reputation, the admiration that people in our NEDRA community had for you, James. And so I really feel grateful to have you on tonight. So
thanks so much, Tim.
So James, I would love to hear more. If you want to start off either with your career and how you got to your current role, or if you want to tell our audience from the get-go what your role at Boston University is, because it sounds really intriguing. So however you want to proceed.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll start off with a hook. I don't know. But yes, so I'm currently the Senior Director for Prospect Information Strategies at Boston University's Development and Alumni Relations Office, or DAR, for short. And what Prospect Information Strategies is basically a team that's made up of two smaller teams. One is Prospect Analytics, which is sort of has been my bread and butter for forever, I guess, in computational philanthropy or fundraising data science, whatever you want to call it. But then also there is pipeline development and management, which is basically prospect portfolio and pipeline development and management, and trying to grow, come up with ways to help fundraisers really move prospects along the prospect development cycle. And so those are the two things that actually BU never really had. And so I was hired just this past March, and I can't believe it's already been 8 months.
Awesome.
It's flown by because there's so many opportunities and just a lot of projects and interesting, and also realizing that higher ed philanthropy is similar in some ways to philanthropy in general, but very different from healthcare, which my experience have been in at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and then Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center before that. And the first thing is just that the prospect pool in higher ed is smaller, although I think almost 2 million records, not really small, but compared to Dana-Farber, which I think probably now they have 3.5 or so million records, or 4 million records, and then MSK probably 12 to 13 million by now.
Wow.
Yeah. But the width of the pool might be smaller, but the depth in terms of data and how rich the data can be, vastly different. I'm always in awe that, it's another sort of data point that I can get from here or here.
Right.
So that's been great.
Cool.
And I guess I started way back when at another higher ed institution, but I was so wet behind the ears back at MIT, actually. I think started back in 2006. And really, it felt like they Rob Scott, forever grateful, and um, um, uh, just I don't know. I feel like maybe they wanted someone with applied statistics skills, um, and then someone who knows about fundraising, and they
Okay.
couldn't find one. So dug deep, and I think the bottom of the barrel, and then beneath that to the concrete underneath the barrel, and yeah, at that point, I think it was me because I found I needed to finish my dissertation,
Hmm.
but I also needed funding, just like so I need just to finish off grad school, but
Yeah.
yeah, someone over at BC. Said, "Oh, there's a job opening, at MIT's development shop," and I, again, no clue what fundraising or development was, uh, but the office was literally a 10-minute walk from where I was living at the time in Cambridge.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah, and got my own little space. So I could go in a little early. I hope I can tell this now. Go in a little earlier, to read a little bit, write a little bit before the day started, or stay a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes Saturdays, yeah, I just go in and actually, write a paragraph on my dissertation, watch an episode of 24, I think, So sorry if I was misusing MIT resources. Sorry. But that was the start into what I guess eventually was fundraising analytics or fundraising data science, or now I like to call computational philanthropy. Uh,
Yeah. Did you come up with that term? Because I've not heard that term before.
yeah, so I'm actually stealing it from a Y2K from Y2K basically.
Oh, okay.
The era was computational philanthropy used to mean borrowing the power of individual PCs or CPUs to solve complex tasks.
Okay.
And the individuals use would sort of give up some of their free space in order to do that.
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm gonna appropriate that
yes.
philanthropy, because I feel that um, traditional or a lot of data scientists that I've known outside of fundraising actually go into a tip. They're like very, very strict about what it means to be a data scientist. And so I'm like, well, let me see if I can work around that. And so, we all use a computer and we're fundraising or philanthropy, and some of us just like to use it for, crunching numbers. And so
Yes.
computational philanthropy.
I like that term. And James, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but I feel like that would make a wonderful book title in a few years down the road, just to give you some time to start on the draft, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I, maybe. But yeah, so anyways, after a few years at MIT, I actually went into the for-profit realm a little bit
Oh,
in healthcare market research. Um, and I always like to say, like, I went back into the light, and started working at Dana Farber in 2011 through 2015. Um,
okay.
yeah, in the division of philanthropy, or what will eventually be the division of philanthropy.
Oh,
Um, and then from 2015 to 2019, I was at MSK, and then
okay.
19 to just this past January, back at Dana Farber.
Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a stint of healthcare philanthropy, or computational philanthropy in healthcare. Uh, and now be you.
What's it like to be back in higher education doing computational philanthropy? You've mentioned the data sets, the volume of data, the differences there, but just in terms of any gut feelings. You mentioned a PhD earlier, so tell me about that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like I said, first foray into philanthropy and trying to apply um, um, statistics or data science. So wet behind the ears. I was very very much um, had a graduate student mentality. And then also coming back and gaining a lot of experiences and real world data, right?
Yeah.
But then also learning about the field of philanthropy, and sort of having that in the back of my mind or a forefront of my mind, actually, as I'm thinking about projects or ways of doing things, and really thinking about how is it going to help gift officers or prospect management folks or researchers, even senior leadership, or maybe the end user, end users or my audience, right? And sometimes simpler might be better, not necessarily pulling out my textbooks again, like, oh, how do I do this? I think I did this in my dissertation, but when a simple, I would say simple, but an infographic, or a simple comparison of percentages might get the point across to audiences. So so that's going to change. And also, I think building relationships and it just being I guess easier to I guess being more open and more outgoing in terms of reaching out, and being and collaborating with different folks. So at BU DAR, it's just been great being able to partner up with folks in the information systems group, DAR apps. We call the group. Alumni engagement. Different folks just having different data sources and resources where I can actually go, oh, can I get a seat on that? And it's like, sure, so the account loaded up and I'm just like, I could download everything and be able to get data that way, and work with that. And so it's been very I feel like I've got a lot of resources that will and data wise to help me help gift officers and other DAR staff members in their roles.
That's so cool. I'm glad to hear that. And James, as you were talking, I was thinking about my own limited, and mind you, it's very limited experience with data analytics, and I love the term computational philanthropy. So I wanted to ask this. This is not in the list of questions I sent to you ahead of time, but you just mentioned changes as well. So as you think back to the different institutions you've worked for, the staff you've supported, worked with, have you, or in hindsight now, have you noticed a change? And I'd say generally, not granular level, but a change in perception or attitude to the work you do from frontline staff. And so, for example, I think when I first became familiar with it, we had a data analyst at HBS in 2015. I think there was generally some hesitancy to fully embrace data because the narrative is not the numbers,
right?
So if you could talk with us about, have you generally noticed a perceptional change about the work you do to support fundraisers?
Yeah. Oh, I think so. And I think it has to do with staff, general uh, knowledge or willingness to
Yeah.
start applying or using the data products.
Yeah.
Um, I think, I can say, particularly in FBU, because right now we're still in the process of formalizing prospect development and management processes,
Yeah.
and formalizing the cadence, for updating or generating modeling or model scores or ratings, automated ratings and whatnot.
Yeah.
But gift officers are ready. They are much they are actually relying on data and data products
Yeah.
to provide them with insights. I can say, for example, just actually just today,
Oh.
we're just talking to just different gift officers that are saying, "Oh yeah, we love this dashboard that was created. We got these questions that we wanted to address, and oh yeah, we love the way that this metric that you provided was good, but we're seeing this could be better." Like they're up giving me advice on like
Oh.
from based on actual application usage of the metric, and be like, doesn't seem quite right. Like I think
Huh.
different things should be weighted differently. Can we weight being assigned heavier? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like
Oh,
it's one of
cool.
those things where it becomes so much more collaborative. Because before it's just been like, well, I'll just do my modeling stuff and push it out. It's almost feels like a consultant in-house, but not really
Oh.
like still working, just coming in and being on your own. In this
Right.
case, I think it's more like getting feedback and iterating and being able to say, oh, I should adjust this, and see and actually getting some evaluation, formative evaluation, so that I can adjust my models and adjust my methods to hopefully be more accurate and precise. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool, and it sounds like it's a nice feedback loop that you have. Because I think, yeah, in my experience, and this is years ago, that I think there was just some trust issues about, what are the numbers saying, and how are you, not you, but like, the general you, how are you spinning the numbers to tell a story? But I'm glad to hear your experience. So thank you.
Yeah, I think partly it's also perhaps specifically to UDAR, because again, these folks haven't, they are also coming from different places where prospect and portfolio and pipeline development and management have actually been set.
Oh.
They go in, they're like, they expect an annual review. They expect the use of different metrics.
Okay.
To help prioritize their prospects. Like, let me know, a list of prospect that I can start making my discovery and qualification, and then let me know, and the portfolio, like which we might need to move on, or move on to a different stage, or move out of the portfolio altogether. And so coming in it's when I was applying for the position, the saying was, well, this is kind of like the Wild Wild West, and yeah, yeah, and we're trying to build a city like in the middle, middle of the Wild Wild West, right? So there's laying the groundwork. We're still in the process of laying the groundwork, but slowly but surely, getting implementing these processes. I think the gift officers especially are thirsting for that. So yeah.
That's great. And speaking of building a city, before we went recording, James, you mentioned, I mean, I may be stretching the analogy here, but you mentioned you're also hiring on your team. Is there anything you'd like to share about that opportunity?
Yes. So currently, I am looking for a director for prospect analytics. Again, we've got two small groups, prospect analytics and pipeline management development. I would love to have someone that have computational philanthropy skills and some managerial experience. And be able to work together, because again, predictive modeling or machine learning, supervised machine learning, that's my jam. Like I love to geek out on that, especially when we're trying to develop predictive models for different giving or donor outcomes. Or segmentations. But I'd say what was it? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, I would say, biblical proportions now. But yeah, it'd be awesome to actually have someone who can sort of help me out in formalizing these modeling projects and providing cadence and a structure to how that's done.
So is that job posted now, or will it be posted soon?
It is posted, but I believe it's just Google BU Director Prospect Analytics.
All right.
Yeah, and if not, you can always send a message my way. It should be on LinkedIn, should be in video, or whatever, like my BU email or whatnot. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Well, I really appreciated that background, James, about your career and the level of specificity you went into about computational philanthropy. If I could switch gears a little bit, part of the impetus why I launched these conversations is certainly to get a sense for the person as a professional and the role they hold, and for me and for my audience to hear about these new titles like yours, Prospect Information Strategies. I also like to just go a little, broaden the conversational lens a bit.
Yeah.
And ask, just sort of a more whole person series of questions as well. So one of them that I've sent to you ahead of time, if we can get into that, is, for certainly a lot of people during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, there was a real struggle about setting boundaries of time, setting boundaries of, if you were new to a team or an institution, could you bring your authentic self to work like you had in the pre-pando roles? And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what their own boundaries are. And you being at BU now since March, is there anything that you would like to share, feel comfortable sharing with our audience about, how you set boundaries? I think, when I think of you, I think of someone who's just naturally friendly, outgoing, and we'll get into that later with the Nedra board.
Theater 101. I took Theater 101, and that was it.
Okay. But maybe talk with us. Let's go specific with BU, if that's okay, because you started that just a few months ago. Are you working hybrid, first of all?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I will. So I will apologize for the pandemic.
Oh,
Oh, wait, that could be a race joke. Wait, but no, wait. Let me start, and then we'll get to the point and whatnot. So, um, actually, when I was working for Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, I was telecommuting. So I
oh,
lived in Boston while I was telecommuting in New York, to New
okay.
York. And again, this was gosh, what 6 years before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so in that 4 or 5 years, I've actually learned to do a lot of remote work, and figured out, yeah, these are my hours where I'm logged in, these are what this is the time when I log off,
Yeah.
and only if, there's an emergency. I mean, rarely have there ever been a computational philanthropy emergency. It has happened, but very, very rarely.
Sure.
But yeah, so I've learned to really separate work life, or work hours, um, from non-work hours.
Yeah.
And so uh, fast forward to working at Dana Farber, pre-pandemic. Again, I think I started working there in October of 2019.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and it was going on the T, taking 45 minutes or an hour each way, and I just, I remember repeatedly, having conversations with the universe, like I love Dana Farber, but the one thing that I wish I could do was actually go back to work remotely 100%. So yeah, so that's why I'm apologizing for the global pandemic, because
Goodness.
March 20, was it 2020? It was like, is granted. But when that did happen, and we all had to, besides being shut in, it felt right at home. I mean,
Yeah.
unintended.
Right. Yes.
Um, just, you work remotely. You have your laptop, or your PC or whatever, and you work from a certain time to a certain time, and then afterwards you log off. And
Yes.
at least for me, it was a very smooth transition. Yeah. Now, BU is this hybrid model, so I think um, I I I like it on the days that I like it, I guess, and on the days that I
Yeah.
don't, like it's not. I like, for instance, today, and since last night, it's been raining on and off, so the roads are wet, and it's cold. And today
Yeah.
is one of my work from home days, so I'm very, very happy that I get to do that. Uh, yeah, and BU has a pay pay per park policy. So like
Oh,
it's, yeah, $8 a day garage parking,
wow.
like in the actual, yeah. So it's been very, very difficult to actually use the T when I could just wake up 20 minutes, I'm in the building.
Oh, that's dynamite.
Uh, but yeah, in terms of, yeah, this work life, I'd say, again, hours are, being separate, but in terms of sort of the more authentic self,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that's just really a personal choice.
Yeah.
People, they want, um, to again, being as professional as possible, to be as authentic as possible as well. Um,
Yeah.
I think at BU, what I love actually is, um, they walk the walk and talk the talk. They talk the talk and on a walk the talk or talk the walk, whatever. They embrace inclusivity and diversity, and inclusion. So
Yeah.
in general, the campus itself has a LGBTQIA plus Center for Faculty and Staff specifically.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and they do a whole host of programming, again, for the BU faculty and staff. I think I just read a little bit about how they're working with students and alum, queer students and alum, to look at BU and how inclusive it is, and how much more we need to do, what more we can do to make this more inclusive and more diverse. So I think, and specifically within DAR, there are affinity groups, where, like I get, I'm on the LGBTQIA plus affinity group. And so just a way to connect with other folks in DAR, other staff members in DAR, who are also who are LGBTQIA or allies, and just be able to sort of hang out, and connect that way.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and then there's also a fun, the fun bunch, which is, just a way to really try out different bars, which I am a huge fan of, and there are plenty of options near the Kenmore area. So
that's terrific, and I appreciate the examples you shared, about the opportunities for you professionally through your work with these affinity groups. I think, for a lot of people, it is just, there's the onboarding that you have to do as a new employee, and then there's also the, who are my people on the team that takes some time to figure out. So I'm glad to hear you found some of your people there.
Yeah. Well, I'd say for those of us in philanthropy, I feel, there's a connection, right? There's, I think, however we make our way into the philanthropy space, that, I don't know, there's something that drew us all to here, and I think, here there's a common mission, right, of helping, really helping future students, or current students, future students, have the best education they can. Helping faculty do their research as easily as possible to, again, they're the ones that are actually, finding ways to make a better world, right? And we're and we're doing our part to hopefully give them the resources to do that.
Sure.
Or Dana Farber, of course, and MSK, it's just like, whenever I do some of those text mining projects, I try quantifying the qualitative, right? But it's always when I grab a box of tissue, because of course I need to read those responses to build my models, but it's like heart tug,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah. So I think, this we all I think go into philanthropy just to make the world better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does sound sort of simple in a way to say we're going to make the world better, but once you're in it, and whether you're a frontline fundraiser or you're marketing for the institution, the role that you have, the role that I have in my day job in prospect management, there really is a tangible connection to the mission. And whether it's, at my institution, Weaver State, it's trying to find alumni donors for student scholarships, trying to find alumni non-alumni that believe in the value of emerging Hispanic serving institutions. That's one of Weaver State's goals by 2025, is to have 15% of our student body, full-time student body, be from the Hispanic serving community,
Right.
Hispanic community
Right.
in Northern Utah. So yeah, it really, like you said, you find your way into philanthropy, and then you can develop numerous attachments, causes that
Yeah.
really gravitate to your spirit. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a great example. Like I actually it just reminded me of just project that I did, related to ethnicity. It's sort of like doing a racial ethnic breakdown of our major gift population.
yeah,
And that was so interesting and eye-opening. And
I'm sure.
it's like, really, that fits,
Uh-huh.
And actually, fun fact, like I don't think we have any major gift donors who are native Hawaiian.
Oh.
And so I'm like, hey, if you need to send this guy to where the data aren't, where we can start having at least one data point, let me know.
Well, I know that May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so that there's a month dedicated to that broad community. So maybe there's a way to tie that into it and get a trip to Hawaii in May.
Maybe I will wait, and ask my managers, in May, be like, by the way.
Well, James, I'm just mindful of your time, certainly, because it's almost 8:30 in Boston. It's 6:30 here in Utah. There's a very important question that I would love to ask you about, and please take the time to share with our audience. If you are in the NEDRA community, you likely already know the question, the topic I'm going to pose to James. For those of you who don't know, and it sounds like before we went live, it sounds like this may be becoming a national thing for James. But James Cheng is, in my opinion, the guru of karaoke at prospect development, computational philanthropy conferences. And we worked together on the NEDRA board. So I would love for you to take us back. How did karaoke become a thing for you, and how did you find the outlet in NEDRA? And you mentioned it's followed you nationally as well.
I mean, so I am a karaoke fanatic. I don't know if anyone. Well, now the cat's out of the bag. If you don't know, if you didn't know that, you know now. But I mean, I know the schedule of karaoke night, of various, kid-friendly bars, in the greater Boston area, and I've actually probably gone through almost all of them. But specifically to NEDRA and specifically to our NEDRA After Dark program.
Yes.
God, I think it started out, maybe it was in Portsmouth when we had one of our conferences there. And there was really no, there was no after dark activities, or maybe there was. It was just like, a bunch of a group of folks who was hanging out at a bar, a local bar, but I think at happenstance that night was karaoke night.
Oh.
And oh yeah, and I was like, oh, karaoke. Well, let me roll up my sleeve and and just had a blast, And I think there were a couple of sponsors, reps that were there, and they had a I think they ended up buying us shots, so
Uh-huh.
if I remember correctly. And so, yeah, it's so much fun. I think then sponsors just saying, as the next conference rolled around, they're like, oh, we love having fun with, the conference attendees at karaoke, and so we're like, well, let's make this a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and so that started happening, and yeah, I remember also while we had another Nedra in Boston, Hotel Revere, we would go to um, Limelight was the karaoke bar.
Okay.
Um, and I also know, was it some of the Nedra board members, a former would or now we're known as the Nedra Force Ghosts.
Oh.
Former board members, Nedra board Force Ghosts. But I think when an APRA conference happened down in New Orleans, um,
Oh,
oh yeah, there was, I think, maybe even like an APRA After Dark activity, like the Cat's
wow.
Meow, which is like the famous karaoke bar down in New Orleans. There was
Oh.
so much FOMO. Like I maybe I should just buy a ticket myself, just go down just for that. Um, but yeah, even I mean, so this past summer, I went to my first Case Summer Institute actually,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
in Madison, Wisconsin, and I think it was, I was had dinner with a couple of colleagues, and then was walking around, checking out the city, and just saw this dive beat, little bar, but it turned out to be a karaoke bar. Um, and so just went on the case um case whatever listserv or whatnot for case
Oh.
summer to be like, oh yeah, hey, if no one's doing anything Wednesday night, like I'm gonna go back to this karaoke bar. Yeah, but and so I think the next night, I think there were like 30 or 40 of us that eventually,
Wow.
showing up, and I'm sure the bartender, I mean, they were a little overwhelmed, I think, but happily,
Sure.
yeah, and if we have another hour or so, I can give you my whole treatise on karaoke and why it's so great, why everyone should try it at least once, and why it's such great cheap therapy.
Well, you without maybe knowing it, you answered a few of the other sub questions in there, but that's really cool. Is there a song that you have just been dying to have in karaoke that for whatever reason it's not come to light yet? Like,
Oh, you know what? I think I've run the gamut of
okay.
although you know what? Actually, Lizzo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Uh, uh, yes. What's the song coming out tonight? I think that's, yeah. Um,
Okay.
I would like, I'm branching out. I'm gonna, yeah, maybe I will try that the next time I'm at karaoke.
Or you could save it for Nedra in Springfield next spring.
Hey, yeah.
It's been many years since I've been to a Nedra conference, but that is reason enough to go back to New
Yeah,
England.
come on back. Yes.
Well, James, I feel like there's two book assignments we could give you. One is the Computational Philanthropy, and the other one is the treatise on karaoke.
Or merge the two together.
Oh, oh goodness. It's been great to laugh with you, James. It's been great to listen to you. You've been really a generous guest, and I just enjoyed reconnecting with you. So thank you so much for your time.
Same here, Tim. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. any last thoughts? Anything you were dying to cover we didn't get to?
No, just again, take my advice. Get up, get up on stage or take the mic and sing. Oh, no, not sing. Karaoke is not singing. And karaoke.
Dynamite. Well said. Well, thanks for making this a fun conversation, James. And for our audience, you will soon be able to find James's conversation on my website, peopleinfundraising.com. I'll post it before Christmas. Right now it's mid-November. And it'll also go out on a Monday in December on LinkedIn and YouTube. And I know you'll enjoy James's perspective and sharing his career as well as his passion for karaoke. So James, until we meet again, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yes, thank you. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.